Hey guys, hope you're all doing well and welcome to the Sunday Prep Rally. Happy summer to everyone whose kids are now out of school and starting camp this week. Pretty nuts. It actually officially feels like summer. And we have menus to go along with it. So we have an amazing menu today. We are tackling meal prep week 37. Okay? Nuts that we are at week 37. It's such a vibrant, amazing, beautiful menu. Let me show you what we got going on here. We have chicken vegetable kebabs with pesto and baked sweet potatoes. We have these amazing loaded hot dogs, which are so good. So simple, but so good and summery. And we have this loaded coleslaw with chicken in there. And then this broccolini artichoke pizza with the pesto. So good. I'm going to talk to you guys all about pesto and why it's a meal prep staple for me, how I store it, how I repurpose it in a million different ways, and why you should be making it weekly. Okay, so we're gonna tackle this. We're only, we only have 5 items in this week's prep rally. I'm trying to keep things really simple, really short, which is why I like hot dogs for one of the nights. It's so easy. Just stick them in the broiler, throw them on the grill, do your thing. But we have really great little add-ons to go along with it. So dinner still comes together really quickly. So that is my goal always, but especially over the summer, when everyone just wants to be out enjoying and having a really great time and not spending time in the kitchen. So we do it efficiently and we have fun doing it and we get through it. Let's bang this thing out, okay? As usual, I always modify even on my own recipes. So feel free to follow along on your PDF, prepandrally.com. Log in with your credentials if you are a subscriber and be sure to download this week's prep, week 37. If you are not a subscriber, you can do so. We have a free promo code for a free month. Use code COUNTMEIN. You'll find that on the website as well. Try it out for a month. If you don't like it, cancel anytime, but it's a game changer. Hope you guys love it. Let's do this thing. So already starting with my modifications. So as you see, I've cut up my sweet potatoes. I have these Japanese sweet potatoes, which are my favorite. Feel free to use any kind you like. I've sliced mine up just because they were so big. I didn't want to sit there waiting for hours for them to cook. So I've sliced mine. Also, I think my kids prefer them sliced, but if you prefer baked potato, follow along your PDF, do whatever works for you. I've already sprayed them on both sides with some cooking oil. So I've just seasoned them with some salt. I'm going to pop these in the oven at 425 for, I say 60 to 70 minutes for baked potatoes. Those are like full potatoes. But these will probably take closer to like 40 minutes or so. If you are making baked potatoes and you want to find a way to make it go a little bit faster, wrap each individual potato in some tin foil. That'll help keep all that steam inside and help it go a lot faster. Okay? Next up is our chicken kebabs. Okay? So I'm going to get a little cutting board. I actually forgot to pre-cut up my chicken, so I will show you how I do that. Okay? So I always have a separate cutting board whenever I'm working with protein. I never use this board. Okay. This way, any contaminants or anything, it all happens right here because you have a dedicated board for it. All right, so let me get my chicken. Too excited to start my video. I didn't even prep my chicken in advance. So you guys should have about 4 pounds or so of chicken because we're going to be using this chicken for 2 nights of dinner. One is going to go on those chicken kebabs, and then you're repurposing those chicken kebabs for another dinner, which is going to be that coleslaw. Okay? So all I do, I have a separate knife, a separate cutting board. I take my chicken breasts here. So it's about like 4 to 6. It doesn't totally matter, honestly. It's really however much you like. But anywhere from like 5 to 6 chicken cutlets is good, okay? So all I'm doing is I just cut it into strips like this, you see? And then I'm turning it the other way and cutting it into cubes. So these chicken kebabs, obviously, they're called the kebabs. So the intention was to skewer them on a kebab so you could throw them on a barbecue, really prepare them any way you like. But as always, I like to show you modifications, and I myself get a little bit lazy. And the skewering takes a little bit of time, which is a great activity, by the way, for kids. If you want to get the kids involved to help have them help skewer it, that's a great activity for them. If you want to skip the skewering altogether, this recipe is just as good without it. So by all means, get yourself a sheet pan, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to take all of my ingredients, and it's all going to go directly on that sheet pan, okay? And I'm just going to roast it. If you wanted to just throw it all directly onto a grill like this without the skewer, it's totally your call. I'll show you how to skewer one, just so you get a sense of how to do it, but it's pretty self-explanatory and it's fun. It makes it really fun for kids. Another thing that you could do is prepare it on a sheet pan like this, and then once it's cooked, then you can have the kiddos or whoever wants to have it on a skewer, put it on a skewer once it's cooked, and then eat it right away. So, as always, we have a whole bunch of different options. If you have a wok, you can totally cook this almost like a stir fry. That works as well. And here we go. One more piece of chicken here. That should chop up and throw in. Okay, so throw that into a big bowl and then get rid of this so that we don't cross-contaminate anything. Give your hands a nice wash. So at this point, I could bring this guy back. This is still clean. All right. Now, all the ingredients for our marinade, you could have mixed that in here before you put the chicken in, or you could just do it after. It does not make any difference. It's all going to get mixed together anyways. So, speaking of modifications, my grocery shopper did not get me my canned pineapple, which stinks because the pineapple is so good in here, but I will show you how to do it without it because you don't need it. It's just as good. I happen to have had some orange juice, so I'm just going to be using, instead of half a cup of pineapple juice, I'm just going to use some orange juice. It'll give it like a little bit of a different flavor, but it's still going to be really good. So follow along in your PDF for all these exact measurements. Again, you could get everything prepandrally.com. Subscribe. We send out weekly menus. Okay. These are kind of just like citrusy, Asian-y style, so good. So we have soy sauce, we have that pineapple juice, honey, or you could also use maple syrup because we're using maple syrup for the glaze. So you could use either honey or maple syrup for either of those. It doesn't really make a difference. You're just looking for a little bit of sweetness. You could also totally omit it if you're not into that. Touch of sesame oil and a little bit of salt. Season it up, and garlic powder. All right, so we're gonna let this marinate for a little bit. If you wanted to let this marinate overnight and then cook it fresh tomorrow night or like the night you're about to serve it, by all means, go right ahead. It'll just get better and more flavorful the longer you let it marinate. But it's not totally necessary. So if you want to just leave it now for like 10 minutes or so, it'll still soak up a bunch of those flavors. So just give it a kind of little mix around here. Oh, it smells so good. Also, if you wanted to use fresh garlic rather than garlic powder, go right ahead. Totally works. Okay, so set this aside. All right, let that marinate for a couple seconds. Meanwhile, we're going to go down and we're going to tackle the glaze really quick, okay? You could omit this part as well, especially if you're marinating overnight. You don't need it as much, but I really like the glaze. It just helps a little bit, makes it even more flavorful. Oh, I forgot my olive oil in here. Done. Especially because chicken breast, you want to keep that moisture in the chicken. So that's why you need some olive oil. If you're using chicken thigh, which totally works as well, like boneless chicken thigh, you don't really need that olive oil. Okay. Next, we have this maple syrup. All right, so I have a small bowl here, and this we're going to be using as a glaze. So, oh no, why does that always happen to me? Stick him over here. Okay. Soy sauce. Okay. Try not to drop your cup in your maple, okay? Okay, friends? All right, maple syrup and soy sauce going in, and a little bit of oil, okay? So these 3 ingredients together. You don't need like a pastry brush, but if you have one, it's a good little tool. You can mix it around, and this will just be a nice little glaze that you're gonna brush over either your kebabs, or once you lay everything out on your sheet pan, you can just brush it off. So that's your glaze, okay? So sit that aside. All right, next up, we're gonna get started on the veggie component. And even though we're only prepping like 5 items today, this chicken is a little bit more labor intensive, which is why I tried to keep the rest of it really simple. But there's shortcuts for this chicken, which is what I'm showing you, to make it even faster. Okay, so we're just gonna chop up our veggies for these kebabs. But as I mentioned, I'm gonna be taking it all, throwing it on a sheet pan, okay? So you have your 2 peppers here. Don't you love finding random weird like fetuses inside your peppers? It's always so weird. Okay. Never know what you're gonna find in there. You know what I've been so in the mood for lately also? If you've been around from, it's not from the very beginning, but definitely a few months ago, I had a stuffed pepper recipe with seitan and rice. I have been in the mood for it ever since, and I need to revisit that. It was such a goodie. So if you have made that before, or if you are a yearly subscriber and have access to that menu, definitely give that one a little try because it's my favorite. So I just cut these into strips, and now I'm gonna cut them into cubes. Okay, so if you were skewering, which I'm not gonna do today, you would basically just take all your vegetables, like your pepper, and then put on your onion, you would put on your chicken, you would put on, you know, stick on a little mushroom. I put them on whole like this. Your chicken, and then you could put on your little pineapple pieces as well, and either lay them on your baking sheet or get them ready for the grill. Totally your call. But as I mentioned, we are shortcutting today, and that's perfectly okay. They're gonna be just as good. And I'm just throwing it all in a sheet pan. So it'll just be a sheet pan kind of dinner, which is so much easier, less time. And if my kiddos want to stick them on a skewer to make their dinner more fun, they could do that once it's cooked, okay? So, put these in here. All right, cool. Those all go on. Mushrooms, just throwing them on here. What I could do is just slice each one in half. Why not? If you're putting them on a skewer, it's good to keep them whole, and they do shrink a lot. So don't worry about having like a big old mushroom on there. They do shrivel up because there's a lot of moisture in mushrooms, so they will shrink. Don't worry. Okay. So mushrooms are on. And then 2 purple onions. My onions happen to be massive, so I think I'm just gonna stick with 1. But do whatever works for you. Like I have the biggest onions ever. So that's why like recipes are kind of tricky, because if you write like juice of 1 lemon or 1 onion, you know, every onion and every lemon is a different size, extracts different amount of juice. So that's why I really want these guides to be, you know, I want you to be flexible with them, and I want you to be confident with them and make the adjustments that you think is necessary. And if you ever do have any kind of questions or concerns, you can always reach out to either me directly or via the private Facebook group. It's an amazing resource, okay? So I'm just cubing these up. Okay. I need a bigger sheet pan. I may just separate this into 2. We'll see. Okay, so that's all my veggies. If I had the pineapples now, I would add my pineapples to this sheet pan. All right, the chicken, either I could let marinate overnight and just store all of this and cook it all fresh the next day when you're actually gonna serve it, or you could just do it now. So, and honestly, because we already have the oil in there and all that seasoning, you don't really have to do much to the vegetables. I'll just season with like a tiny bit of salt and pepper. So check it out. I'm just adding all that chicken to my sheet pan, or you could be threading it onto those skewers right now. Okay. Sheet pan is like tiny. A lot of food here because it's 2 nights of dinner. Again, this chicken is going to be repurposed into that really yummy coleslaw. So get excited for that. Okay, so I'm keeping this hand dirty. This hand is not. I'm seasoning those veggies with some salt. I'm not even adding any more oil because there's oil that we already put on the chicken. So I'm just gonna toss this all together, or skewer it if you like. You wanna separate it to 2 separate baking sheets, or if you have an extra large one, that's even better. Kinda wanna give everybody a little bit of love and some space to breathe. Oh my God, it's gonna be so good. And honestly, a sheet pan is so easy. So if you're ever looking for any kind of shortcut, never doubt the good old sheet pan, okay? Beautiful. I could separate to 2, but I'm not going to, that's fine. I'm gonna give my hands a wash and I'm gonna throw this into my oven. Here we go. So again, you have options. You can grill, you can roast, it's totally your call. I'd rather wait because I have the oven on 425 right now. Either I could lower it, let's lower it to 400 so I could throw this in at the same time. You don't want it to be too high, otherwise you're just gonna burn this and dry it out. So I'm just gonna lower the sweet potatoes to 400 so I could cook it all together. That is in the oven, so my chicken will be ready tonight. If you want to, again, let it sit either in the marinade or just on your roasting sheet like that, or in the kebabs in your fridge so that you'll cook it fresh the next day, by all means do that. Oh, I forgot to put my glaze on. Okay, I'm gonna go put on some of the glaze, but what's good to do is, you know what? You could put some on before you cook it. I'm gonna let it cook like that, and then when it comes out, then I'm just gonna use all of this to just kind of drizzle and douse the whole thing on top. You could do both times. You could put it on now before you cook it, and then again to finish it off, or you could just do it at the end. So I may do it like midway through cooking and then at the end again. So do whatever works for you, whatever you like. But that glaze is good. You're gonna like that. Okay, so while that's cooking, we have this garlicky broccolini. So I really like broccolini because it's kind of like broccoli, but smaller, super flavorful, so yummy. The stems are super good. Don't throw those out. Those are part of the veggie. It's great to eat those. I love them. They're almost like sweet. It's weird. So all we're gonna do is toss this with some olive oil, 3 cloves of garlic, and some salt. Okay? Really simple. I love that it's garlicky. And this broccoli, you're gonna be serving as a side dish for your hot dog night, or half of it for the hot dog night. The other half you're going to reserve for your pizzas at the end of the week, because you're gonna be mixing some of this with the artichokes, like canned artichokes. And that's gonna be going on either a store-bought pizza crust, or you can make your own, totally your call. I always forget to use my garlic press, and it's a great tool, and I have one, so why not use it, right? I always get lazy, because I always have to wash it, but it saves me so much time, plus it spares your board from stinking, and it just comes right out like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this with 3 different cloves. Boop. It's so simple, because it really finely minces it. And last one. Get in there, buddy. Yum. Okay. Cut that all off. Perfect. Okay. That's it. Garlic. So simple. You can do this with any vegetable you like. If you want to do cauliflower this week, totally your call, whatever you like. A little bit of olive oil. Give it a little toss. And that's it, ready to go in the oven. See, if you have another oven, or if you have space in your oven, you can throw it in right now at 425 or for 400, doesn't make a difference really. Or you can wait until the other stuff comes out and bake this next, or roast it next. Okay, if you guys have convection roast on your oven, it's one of my favorite tricks. I have that setting on my oven, but not everyone does. So I never test recipes using the convection roast setting. But it's my secret to making the most amazing roasted vegetables, because it's much higher heat, because it circulates the heat. So it just cooks everything a lot faster, and it gets it nice and crisp before it gets super mushy. So it gives you a nice crisp exterior, but still cooked through, and it cooks a lot faster too. So if you have that, play around with it. I usually roast things on like 375 convection roast. But again, every oven is just kind of different. So make sure you test your oven and do what works for you. All right, 2 more things to do. We just have 2 sauces or dressings. for the week. And you guys know with meal prep, it's all about having amazing, great sauces and dressings in the fridge all week long, because then you're just more bound to make great decisions when it comes to your meals. First of all, it enhances every meal, but also for lunch, you could throw together a quick salad and you have an amazing dressing to go with it. Or maybe you want some just like plain cut up vegetables during the week. You have a great dip to dip it into. And the pesto, which we'll do soon, I'll show you all the things that I do with it. I'm kind of obsessed. All right, so I have a little container here. We are making our peanut sauce. All right, so I have some peanut butter. And I got a bunch of questions on the Facebook group about peanuts, if you have any allergies in your family or you just don't like peanuts. By all means, omit it. You can use tahina instead. I like to pour off some of the oil. It makes it a little bit firmer, the peanut butter, not as like creamy, but I'm fine with that. I like getting out some of that fat. No need for all of it. Give it a little mix around. So yeah, you could totally use tahina here. You can use almond butter. Totally your call. This is going to be the sauce that's going to go on that coleslaw. Okay? Now sauces like this, especially if you're using tahina, you may not want to use that full half cup amount, because tahina, even more so than any other, I don't know if you call it a condiment, but other kind of sauce or nut butter or spread, thickens like crazy. So I would use half of the amount in this recipe, and you could always add more if you need. Okay, but same with peanut butter, like you can always add more either water or vinegar to thin it out, especially once it sits in the fridge overnight. It tends to thicken up as well. So just know, if you ever want to make it thicker, you could always add more of the either nut butter or the tahina, whatever you're using. If you want to loosen it up, you could always use some extra water or some extra vinegar or even the lime juice. It all works. Okay, so we have the peanut butter, we have the soy sauce, we have the apple cider vinegar. We're going to do the juice of the lime and then 1 clove of minced garlic. I still have my little mincer here. It's actually convenient. I don't know why I don't always use this. It takes 5 seconds. It's like worth it. I used to always use it when I was cooking for a client, and I never really use it myself at home, but especially for a sauce, it just minces things really fine, so you never get like a big old bite of garlic. So it works really well. Okay, and then I'm just gonna roll my little lime for a minute, get the juices going, and squeeze that lime juice into that container. And I like mixing all of my dressings directly in the container you're going to be storing them in. Why waste any dishes, right? Go directly in it. I even use my food, my immersion blender directly in my storage container to blend up my pestos and sauces and whatever. It's so convenient. Okay, so we just have our lime juice in here. Try to get out as much of that juice as possible. Okay, beautiful. So give that a mix around. I'm just going to get all the peanut butter off there. Your best way to mix all this together is just by giving it a good old shake. So I have this orange thing on these containers, which make it leak proof. Or it's supposed to be leak proof. We'll find out if it works. Indeed it does. So just give it a good shake. Oh, yum. This sauce is like gold. It's so good. Okay, so this is good to go. You can taste it if you want. It's heaven. You're gonna love it. Or you could, just don't forget, you could always make it looser or thicker, depending on what you need, okay? So adjust as needed, or if it sits overnight, if it's too thick, too thin, you know how to adjust now, okay? Now, last thing. Just forgetting all kinds of things today. So as I told you, my immersion blender, I'm obsessed with it because, no, where's the, pause, to find the actual bottom piece. Man. Here it is. All right. This is the beauty of my videos, you guys. There's no beautiful editing here. This is like the real deal, okay? I'm just like you, fumbling through my kitchen to find everything. So this is an immersion blender, okay? If you are unfamiliar with it, if you do not have one, go ahead and buy it. They're like 30 bucks, they're amazing. This is like the head of it, the base, the machine, the motor. This is the thing that blends. So this is the only thing you need to wash. You just pull this off and you wash that. Pops right onto here, okay? Plug her in. Here we go. All right, friends. Okay, so let's make some pesto, shall we? You guys know my obsession with pesto because you make a whole big vat of it, okay? You could use it for pizza. You could use it to go on hot dogs. You could use it to go on a burger. You can use it to make the quickest pasta dish ever. I make it with cauliflower rice. So when I'm busy and I'm working and I'm home and just need like a last minute lunch, I literally will just take my pesto, put it on some either shirataki noodles or cauliflower rice that I keep in the freezer, throw it in a pan with some Parmesan, call it a day. Easiest thing ever. You can put on a flatbread and roast some vegetables on top. It just works for everything, okay? And the way I store it, either you can store it on here if you're gonna be using it all this week. If you are not going to be using it all up, or if you see that it's starting to go bad in the fridge and you wanna reserve it, buy these little ice cube trays, okay? They have a silicone back, so you could push it to like actually pop out the little cubes. Put it all in here, and then it's just in the freezer. It lasts forever. And then every time I'm going to make lunch, I literally take out my cauliflower rice from the freezer. I pop 1 or 2 of these little cubes into the pan, throw some Parmesan on it, and like lunch is completely made. All right, it's a meal prep staple. I'm obsessed with making pesto because it just enhances every single meal and it makes the quickest meals ever. All right, and I'll show you how quickly it comes together too. So I have my seeds in here. You could use pine nuts, you could use walnuts, you could use sunflower seeds. I had in my freezer, so I just put sunflower seeds in there. That's just what I had. So use whatever you got. You don't really taste it, so don't worry. And then we have our pesto, or basil, of course. If you wanted to also throw in some spinach, we've done like a spinach pesto before. You could throw some spinach leaves in here as well. All really good. So you just want to pull them off of the stems, okay, because the stems aren't that delicious. They're a little bit bitter and they're kind of fibrous. And you want like a nice, fluffy, beautiful pesto. So just kind of pull them off their stems and follow along with the recipe for all the exact measurements. But pesto, I think, is just the greatest thing to always have on hand for last minute dinners, last minute lunches. It's great to spread on a sandwich. Amazing on anything. Plus, kids love pesto. Okay, you can make a last minute pasta for them for lunch or for dinner. Throw some pesto on it and you look like a rock star, right? And we're gonna make the best pizza with this as well. Okay, so throw these all in here. Beautiful. I've pre-washed all these already. And get in there, mister. We have 2 cloves of garlic. So you could mince these, but there is no need because you're going to be using your immersion blender anyways to blend this whole thing. So why waste the time if you could just throw it directly inside? That's a gross garlic. Let's go bigger. Perfection. All right. Garlic is in. We have our seeds in there. We have the basil in there, and now we're going to put some olive oil in, okay? And it's a nice amount of olive oil because this is a nice amount of pesto. So you're not eating all this pesto in one sitting. It's going to last you a while. So get your olive oil in there. And then I mix in the Parmesan at the very end, just like by hand. But you could totally put it in now if you'd like. Totally up to you. So just stick your immersion blender in here. You could also do this in a food processor. It works just as well, but I just find this is so much easier because I'm going to be storing it in here anyways, so like no mess. Okay, so just start pressing it down. And it starts to smell and look like pesto right away. Boom. Don't forget to season with some salt. You could also do some pepper. You could do crushed red pepper flakes if you like it spicy. Boom, it's done. So you literally pull this thing off. This is the only thing you need to wash. Beautiful. It's the whole thing, friends. Look at that. Oh, snap, that looks so good. Oh my God. Yum. So you could store it as is, or you could put it in those ice cube trays, any way you like it. This pesto is such an amazing prep and rally essential because it just enhances every dish. It lasts beautifully, and you're just going to love it. You can do so many things with it. It's so versatile, such an easy recipe. So definitely make this and make it every week because it's so good. Or make a big vat of it and freeze a ton of it so you just always have it, okay? Hope you guys love this recipe. I'm obsessed. Now, boom, that's the whole thing. Holy smokes, 32 minutes, okay? We have our pesto, we have our peanut sauce here, our broccolini, which we'll be putting in the oven in a couple minutes, our chicken, which should be done pretty soon, and then my sweet potatoes, okay? So super easy, quick prep today, 32 minutes. Are you kidding me? Like, that's literally all we do on a Sunday, and you have a whole week's worth of food, okay? So you see the benefits here. As long as you do a little bit of pre-prep, you can breeze right through these. And I'm literally holding your hand throughout this entire process. Hope you guys love it, guys. That was week 37. Have an amazing week. Enjoy this beautiful summer. Make sure you're getting out, enjoying the week, and enjoying these quick and easy fast dinners. I know you're gonna love it.